Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's restoration will be a Ferrari 312P. This car was made in 1973 and is a rare color. This Spectra Flame Blue was uncommon at the time, and a car like this in mint condition with this blue can run over $200. Now, this car I picked up for about $4, and it is in horrible condition. As you can see, it's missing the rear engine cover, and it has paint all over it, which means it needs a lot of help. Here I'm drilling out the posts of this car. The posts of this car are very, very small compared to some of them, and a fun fact that you'll see in a minute, the post on the back of the car is actually the engine. Now, there are a few Hot Wheels that do have this, and it makes it a little bit harder to re-tap it to go back together. As you can see, that engine pops right out, and you can see the post on it. I think I'm about to grab it in a second. I can't remember if I do because this is a voiceover, but as you can see, the body of the car is in great shape, as with everything else. Now, the engine is a little bit oxidized, which is surprising because that's really the only oxidation I could find on the car. Here I'm using Citrus Strip. Citrus Strip is a, it smells better than paint, than aircraft paint stripper. However, the process is a little bit longer. My rule of thumb is to let the cars sit for more than 4 hours. Now, you can do this in an hour, but you're probably going to still be fighting the paint. Here's a car pretty much with the paint all off of it. Now, there is some blue still left on it, but that's okay because the sandpaper is going to get that right off. Now, the sandpaper that I'm using right now is 800 grit sandpaper. I use 800, 1500, and 2000 grit sandpaper. I don't really go too coarse with this because if I use anything less than 800, it's going to give it some really good scratches. And since the oxidation isn't bad, it kind of just needs a tiny layer of the zinc to taken off to give that shine again. Next, I'm using a brass brush. Now, a brass brush is one of my best friends with these restorations because it doesn't scratch the zinc, and you can kind of be a little rough with the brush. Next, I'm getting this Q-tip to kind of just get out any of the areas that the paint clumped up and any of the stains that the car may have. Next, I'm polishing this car up. As you can see, this car cleaned up really, really well, and it didn't really need a zinc plating process, but I already went through with it because I'm zinc plating a couple cars at the same time. You can usually tell if the zinc layer is good by looking at the shine of it. As you can see, the light above shines on this car and it looks chrome. Now, since it's actually not a chrome plating, it is a good thing that it is still showing. Here I have the car all cleaned up, and next I'm putting the base in some CLP. CLP is a product that is used for bathrooms to prevent rust and to get rust off of things. These straight axles do rust a little bit that I've noticed, and it really does it on the outside. Next, I did use some 4-aught steel wool to kind of scuff up the bottom of the base, and now I'm going over it with some Flix metal polish. Now, this is probably one of the better looking bases, even out of my entire Redline collection. This cleaned up amazing. Now, here I have an X-Acto knife and I'm popping off these wheels. These were in pretty bad shape, and I have replacements from them, or for them, from Bright Vision, which y'all should go check them out if you are looking for some Redline reproduction wheels. Next, I'm putting the engine in the CLP to start the restoring process for it. Now, did I have to do this? No. And if I took took this brass brush, for example, to it, it would look fine. But I was looking for a really, really good shine, and I ended up getting it. Now, a side note, I did have this little engine fly across the room, and I lost it for about 30 minutes, and I finally found it under the couch. Here it's all cleaned up, and it is in really, really good shape, and it wants to go back in the car. Here I'm filing down the post of this. Since you drill the post, it can umbrella the bottom of this post, and doing this helps align the tap a little bit better and gives you a higher chance that the tapping process will be successful. Here I'm using a little bit of cutting oil for the tap. I don't really worry about the drill bits because they are pretty solid and this metal is very soft. Now, if the drill bits since they're so small, they can't really be sharpened, I could always get extra ones. I get them at Tractor Supply and I just get a whole set. Now, tapping this, I had to freehand it, and it looks a little wobbly, but it actually ends up being very stable, and it screws together perfectly fine. Next, I'm putting it in the zinc plating process. As you can see, I kind of shake the car around to get the bubbles off of the car, because if you leave it like that, it will form zinc crystals on the car, and it will be very hard to get it off. Next is paint. The paint that I use is a Redline Shop Gloss Black. Now, I bought this paint in 2019 and it has gummed up really, really bad. This paint was so thick that I was wide open with my airbrush the entire time and it had zero run to it. I did about 4 coats, and overall, it turned out really, really good. I did have to use a lot of reducer, and towards the end, I was almost using a 50-50 ratio of reducer to paint. Now, I did mix hardener in with this. It is a pretty solid paint, but it did take a long time to cure. Next, I'm putting some liquid super glue on these cap style wheels to kind of make sure that the wheels stick onto the hub of the car. Next, I'm using a liquid chrome pen to clean the front wheels and kind of just restore them a little bit. I didn't want to pay the extra money to restore these front wheels, and I'm not really a big fan in converting the straight axles into the bearings because I feel like it takes away from the car, because I want it to be as original as possible in terms of functionality. Now, the final process that I'm gonna do is the water slides. Now, the color black that I used for this car was not an option at the time, and I really wanted to do a black red line that was a Ferrari 312P because I've never seen one before. Here I'm using the same liquid chrome pen to paint the headlights, and you could use some different materials to get this job done. You can use acrylic paint, really just anything to kind of give it that chrome look. Next I'm going to paint I guess they would be clips to take the fenders off. I'm not too sure because I've never seen this car in person. I did, touch that a little bit to make it chrome. And then the engine louvers, I guess that would be what they're called. I did make that chrome too to kind of give it some more accents on the engine cover itself. Now, a fun fact that I like about these cars is the back engine cover was actually not supposed to lift up all the way. And this car doesn't set all the way on it, which is totally fine with me. Here I am painting the rear taillights red with a gloss acrylic. And here's the final product. This car came out really, really nice and is definitely my favorite car in my collection. Thank y'all for watching and sticking through the video.